Greetings, fellow murder crows. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And welcome to another dark yet very humorous installment of Tiki's Universe. That's right, it's the show where we recap and review and respond to a hail barrage of animated content currently on your TV screens that we've been very procrastinating about doing. So, folks, first of all, before we get into things, I want to address that. Very sorry we haven't gotten to Milo. Jacob and I are going to hopefully crack out the end of the rest of the season sometime late this next upcoming week. And then we'll be moving on to Frozen. Dragon, are you going to join us for Frozen? I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Tangled, you mean?
Tangled, yes. Tangled. I'm sorry.
You doing Tangled?
Yeah, we're doing Tangled.
We discussed if we're doing Tangled, then you told me no, and now you're telling me we can Tangled's an option?
We're doing Tangled.
I'll have my people contact your people. We'll get in touch.
All right, sounds good. So, folks, we are about to dive into Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 4. Of course, this was delayed by 1 week thanks to the Szechuan sauce-infused madness that was Adult Swim's April Fool's joke.
Hardy har har.
All right, so this is just great because we're coming at it from 3 totally different directions. Jacob, why don't you start? Why don't you start with your somewhat indifferent reaction to the whole thing?
Well, considering that I most likely have to work the next day or something, I went to sleep before the episode actually came on, so I woke up, I was like, okay, I'll watch the episode before when I wake up. I was like, wait, where is it? There's no episode. And then I looked it up and everything was like Rick and Morty. I was like, wait, months of nothing, suddenly Rick and Morty comes out of nowhere. I'm honestly indifferent because I honestly don't mind Rick and Morty. I mean, I do like Rick and Morty, but you're not
caught up on it, though.
No, like I said, trust me. I mean, I'm just saying I like the show.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be covering Rick and Morty Season 3 in the summer. Oh, yeah, Tiny Rick!
And like I said, I'm completely indifferent to it because it's just another week for Samurai Jack. I mean, I do like Rick and Morty, but it's not Samurai Jack.
All right, Dragon, why don't you relate to the folks your experience with this?
Well, folks, we can't all have the very kind of passive around the world in 80 days. Oh, look, yippee! I'm gonna have it eventually, and I picked up an extra day. We can't all have that reaction. I envy my colleagues' reaction. Let me walk you through my experience.
Oh God!
So here's what happened. So I remember, of course, the first 3 episodes of Samurai Jack, very strong, very hype-worthy. Okay, we're all getting, we're in the last season, man. We got 10 episodes.
Of course, we got that great cliffhanger at the end of episode 3.
Yes, of course. How can we forget it? And then, of course, we get the promo. Okay, Jack's in for another adventure. He's been swallowed by something. What happened? So, of course, that promo was running in my mind. It was, okay, it's Saturday has approached. It's the way the stars aligned, and let's just say we had plans, and basically then we had a whole lot of nothing going on Saturday. So the point is, all I got to look forward to today is Samurai Jack. So,
oh God,
I'm waiting, and basically as it usually happens, I'm just kind of basically killing some time until Samurai Jack comes on at 11. So I'll have the TV on mute while I'm multitasking and doing some other stuff. Usually Family Guy plays before it. Sometimes the good stuff, sometimes the bad stuff. So either or, I'm half interested. So, while I'm waiting, I'm just kind of casually, I'm looking at the clock, just making sure I don't miss when it hits 11, and I kind of notice, okay, something's playing. Again, it's probably a Family Guy or not. Then as it's starting to get closer and closer, I'm noticing, okay, well, it's not lining up with his Family Guy's Rick and Morty playing. So, okay, maybe it's just might be like what happens with channels that play football, where okay, the game went over a little bit long. It's basically, for some reasons unknown to me, is maybe they're pushing everything back. Okay, well, the times aren't lining up, so either it's a mistake or it's been pushed back, which I got nothing else to do. So it's going to play, and I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on the half hour, on the 20 minutes of the half hour. So about 20 minutes, half hour goes by, drifting into it. So again, I'm taking notes, I'm keeping looks. And so, okay, and another episode of Rick and Morty. Interesting, and then I'm noticing. Okay, well, I figured, okay, maybe it's like 2 shows back or something. Dragon Ball Z's Dragon Ball, was it Super? Dragon Ball Z Super, Dragon Ball Super. And Samurai Jack coming before it. So again, I'm just imagining, okay, those two they're on their way, they're coming. Then anyway, so after essentially 2 episodes of Rick and Morty, that's when I'm looking at. I keep looking at the half-hour marks for this one specific thing. The thing I get really excited for on the previous 3 Saturdays with Samurai Jack. The little Adult Swim disclaimers, like, well, you may see movie, I have graphic violence, yada yada yada. And then of course our famous Toonami guy, Tom, is that the character's name?
Tom, yes.
Yeah, Tom. I like Tom. So Tom's walking by and he's saying, okay, hey, it's the wonderful Steve Blum, I believe, doing the voice. He says, hey guys, check. I sit down and check this out because I've grown up with this voice. Tiki, telling me about Dragon Ball Z episodes that are about to come up. Oh yeah, and the whole Batman Superman World's Finest. I like Tom. He always brings me good news. So he comes on. I think, okay, it's going to be standard procedure. Tom's going to tell us, and now he's got a little pixie thing because they're trying to update Toonami. Sorry, getting off track. Point is, Tom's telling us, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed our April Fool's Day thing. Okay, that explains why the delay's off. Okay, and apparently Rick and Morty was a little surprised. I don't know what the importance was because I don't really follow Rick and Morty. Nothing against it, just, I'd have to catch up, I guess. Point is, okay, that's all nice and cool, April Fool's gag. Now they're going to play Samurai Jack, that little disclaimer, of course. And then Tom crushes my Saturday, crushes my world a little, noogies it. And he says, hey, well, guys, I hope you hope you enjoyed a little April Fool's gag, and looking forward to Samurai Jack and Dragon Ball Z Super. You're going to have to wait till next week to see it. And I was like, no!
Oh, God.
What? No!
So you stayed up, all the way until midnight?
Yeah, it's like, no! Come on!
Oh, man. Okay.
But that was my experience with it. And then I had to wait another week and watch it now, but thankfully it was a little worth the wait. It was really good.
All right, well, folks, I was spending some time with my mother and my little brother, and I'm not going to lie, there was some alcohol involved. I was a little tipsy, so when 11 o'clock rolled around, Tiki turns on Adult Swim, because I was just in the back of my mind, I was like, hey, Samurai Jack might come on. And then I saw Rick and Morty, and I was like, I kind of had a similar experience to Dragon at first, where I was just like, well, that's kind of weird, but because I knew that usually Saturdays are Toonami, so usually Rick and Morty wouldn't be something that Toonami would be playing. Granted, I don't watch stuff on the usual broadcast. I usually watch it off of sources. But I digress. So Rick and Morty comes on, I'm watching the episode, and then I start to realize that this episode that I'm watching is a new episode. That they're picking up the pieces of the cliffhanger. Rick is addressing the fact that he's in space prison. Whoa! Scary place. And in Dragon, the thing you have to realize about this is that we were promised at the end of Rick and Morty Season 2 that it'd be a year and a half until Season 3 came around. And it's been 2 years, Dragon. It's been 2 years since the end of Season 2.
I've got that beat by a year. One of my shows, I had to wait for 3 years for to finish.
All right. Well, you know what? This isn't a competition, Dragon. All I'm saying is that there was anticipation in the room for Rick and Morty. Adult Swim's been known to play April Fool's gags before. Dragon, tell me what would be worse. Them airing Rick and Morty, which is one of their flagship shows, a show with a beloved fan base, or Adult Swim's most infamous April Fool's joke. I'm just saying this for comparison's sake. Adult Swim's most infamous April Fool's joke was them playing The Room on a loop the whole night.
Well, I mean, if it was any other movie, I don't know, but...
You're tearing me apart, Tiki.
All right. Well, suffice to say, folks, I was actually pretty stoked. I got super into the episode. It was a great episode. It was a great premiere. Can't wait for the season to start. I'm stoked. I want my Mulan Szechuan sauce, and we're good to go. So, folks, let's jump right into it. After a week delay, let's talk about not Rick and Morty. Let's not talk about Rick and Morty. Let's talk about Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 4. What did you guys think about it?
XCV.
XCV, yes.
Otherwise, I believe it's 94? 95.
5,
5, right, sorry, 95, yeah.
And and my nickname for the episode, Samurai Jonah.
that is pretty clever.
Yeah.
I had something that was way more uncreative Jacob. I just had belly of the beast.
Yeah, that's what I call. That's what I need to look. It's like, oh, swallowed by a giant beast, Samurai Jonah.
Got to get out of the whale, Samurai Jonah.
Oh, literary references.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
talk about the. So we start off with the episode 3 aftermath. Of course, as you mentioned, Tiki ends on a cliffhanger. Quite literally, Jack falls off essentially a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a tree hanger.
Well, fine. It's a tree branch hanger. Yes,
It's hanging over a cliff. I would constitute it as a cliffhanger.
Splitting hairs.
Stallone can contact our lawyers. Anyway, so the third third episode aftermath here, we get this really interesting opening sequence because I love this. I love that I kind of called a few things in this episode. I'm not to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying we kind of called a few things in the speculatory phases of our episodes. Like, of course, seeing some bodies hit the ground as Jack's going to survive this, and of course it would stand the reason Ashi did, or maybe someone didn't. As in our third, our other daughter Vaku, we don't really see. I'm saying initially we think it might be Ashi because there's a lot of blood on the ground. Anyway, so points before we get to Ashi. So we have this really creepy crow scene.
Oh man, this is great stuff. This is really good, really atmospheric.
Ironically,
I'm so delighted by this scene.
Ironically, a group of crows is actually called a murder.
Yeah, you're right.
Really?
You're right. Yeah, that's true.
Really?
Yeah, morbid fun fact.
Yep, murder of
murder.
Look it up.
Murder of crows.
Yep, look it up. Murder of crows.
You know what this
that's
reminds me
so
of? It reminds me of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. The whole the toads like Ichabod.
Murder of crows. That's such a neat little fun fact.
The more you know.
Dun, dun, death. Anyway, so we get the creepy crows here. This scene is really great. So in addition to actually being a murder, apparently, they also love the same murder. Like they basically making crow sounds that sound identical to a murderer. In this case, murderer.
Mm-hmm.
Murderer. And here's what I'm loving. I love that as great kind of a progressive step that Jack took in the previous episode. Like, he's accepting, he's going to have to kill people in battle, kind of the Bushido style. He's going to warn, but he will kill if he has to. He's doing that, but at the same time, there is going to be an aftermath, especially after he sees kind of the seemingly dead body of Ashi, and as he hears like murder, because again, that was the big thing weighing on. What's the difference between someone who kills and a murderer? Of course, killing is necessity. Murder, that is like you're a psychopath. It's like you're killing because you like it, or killing because it's easy for you. In this case, it's I love when he screams back at the crows as a murder as they're surrounding him.
Yeah, that's great.
They chose their path. God, I love hearing Phil Lamar scream that to those. It's like, this is honestly the big dramatic moment we have in the episode.
And it's right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the crows are just, and in reality, the crows are just like looking around like, what's he screaming about?
Yeah. And again, so in terms of Jack's here, again, he's in the process of accepting this willingness to kill in battle. He's still kind of figuring out how he feels about that. And what I love about this episode is that Ashi is a great way of getting, basically this is a great way from a story perspective of getting us past Jack got the Bushido okay last episode. Hey, you can kill people as long as you warn them beforehand. You basically do what you've been doing, except with robots you do with humans. And again, it seems like, okay, well, the book's closed. We just go forward, Jack, and kills me as he wants without consequence. But with Ashi here, of course, it now weighs on him because as Jack gets to know Ashi, he gets to see how much of an Aku zealot she is. It's really weighing on Jack. Jack is what led Ashi down this path in the first place. He feels responsible for her going down her path because again, they had that great line in the other episode, the line that echoes what his father's line was. The whole, choose your. Are you prepared to meet your destinies? What your path is? Are you going to go down this path?
They never got to choose their path.
Exactly. I mean, here's the big intellectual question I think that gets raised in this episode for Jack in this opening scene. It's like, is it acceptable to kill this Aku zealot if she's been misguided? Even technically, she's been born all because of Jack.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, remember again, it's like, well, yes, you killed someone who's trying to kill you, but you're responsible for them being, sent down and corrupted. So it's your fault. They went down this path because of you to some capacity. Is it right for you to kill them? Again, it's muddy in the water. It's getting really interesting.
The morally gray kind of area.
Yeah, it's not just clear cut of, okay, well, if we were in Jack's position, we'd do the same thing, but would you?
And you're right, Dragon. It's interesting that this is not only a turning point within Jack's character arc, but also a turning point for the episode where, he's realizing that Ashi is kind of an innocent in this whole situation. And I feel like a great way that they play with that, that they play with the expectation, is that they make Ashi, quite frankly, a very likable character in this episode for the first time.
Yes, we do have the great Tara Strong doing a wonderful performance.
Oh my god.
Because we didn't get to hear her speak that much, and here we get a whole lot of Ashi speaking.
Uh-huh.
Actually, this is the most Jack has spoken this season, too.
Yeah, and again, it's so fascinating to me, as dark as that opening is, and as serious as, like, kind of those questions are, it's still, we get such a lighthearted Jack this episode.
I would say this is definitely the most lighthearted episode of the season so far, and probably the most, like, family-friendly episode of the season so far.
And only Tartakovsky can pull this sort of thing off, Tiki. This is what he does best. He can have a great juxtaposition there. Just, this.
Sure.
The great, you get humor in this really, easily, as you, I think, at the very least, I was going into the season thinking it was going to be a little bit more serious than humorous, but we got a great blend of everything here.
All right, so let's transition back to Jack and Ashi, because I think this is definitely the heart and soul of the episode.
Could I say something to kind of umbrella the whole Jack Ashi thing for a moment?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, this is harkening on my favorite thing of the season. I think this episode really highlights where I think the show is going with Jack. My favorite thing of the season 5 compared to the other Samurai Jack seasons. I love this. Again, the best comparison I have, and I have evidence to back this up, is kind of this Dark Knight Returns approach with Jack, as I've been saying before. But it really is a lot of evidence here. Is like we're gradually restoring Jack to his former self. Here Jack is kind of in the mid-season territory he was in the original Samurai Jack shows. Like he's paired with an opposite. He goes through a very visually memorable obstacle, and Jack influences change in the other character. Again, these are kind of hallmarks of what Jack would go through in episodes. And what I love on the whole is that this episode is preparing us for the Scottsman. This is exactly the same situation he was faced with the Scotsman. Scotsman didn't like him, and he got to know each other and kind of changed Scott's mind. And of course, next episode, unless we're getting lied to in the promos, Scotsman should be appearing. And the main reason for the Dark Knight Returns comparison, the reason I have evidence for here, is think about it. Dark Knight Returns, we keep building up kind of the iconic Batman characters, and the reason I always use the comparison between that and this Samurai Jack is that what they've been doing this season is, again, it's Jack is Jack being able to relive his previous experiences, and in doing so becoming like his former self, just like Batman did. Batman, he faced Two-Face, which, okay, old rogue, then we go to a new rogue, which would be the mutant leader. Then, of course, we get the big, the hallmark of rogues being the Joker, the big dangerous one. Then, of course, we have kind of the last kind of slaying the dragon, essentially, which would be Superman, going up against kind of the godlike figure, Batman kind of going to his Justice League days. So in here with Jack, we've had kind of the familiar foe with Scaramouche being Two-Face. Essentially, Ashi is our mutant leader. And in a way, not that I'm saying he's not an antagonist, but the Scotsman will be an iconic character with Jack. Someone who's kind of very much linked with Jack a lot. Especially
he might be kind of like the Superman.
No, I think Aku's technically the Superman because he's like the last obstacle. He's like kind of like the last kind of big, last thing for Jack to go up against.
Okay.
I think the Scotsman would be the Green Arrow.
That's also a good comparison. I'll give you that. He's more Green Arrow-esque. I'm just looking for kind of like an example of a Joker, because otherwise Aku would be the Joker. But you see what I'm going with here. We're kind of
but like I said, because Green Arrow helped Batman in Dark Knight Returns.
That's very true. Yes, regardless. No Joker, but let's just say we go to the Superman. Point is our big heavy hitter at the end, which Green Arrow helps defeat, which is still Scotsman anyway.
All right.
Just wanted to just saying, like, my favorite element is kind of really well represented.
Okay. So
Ashi.
I just love how Jack doesn't even let a lot of these insults even face him. He's like, even gets the book like, now you're just repeating yourself.
Essentially, this frame is kind of what the episode's all about. Ashi's through the majority of the episode just kind of yelling at him,
Die, samurai! Aku's will mend it, samurai! You will never escape! Samurai, you scum!
And again, kind of like what the Scotsman did in his episode. He just spent the first half of the episode kind of insulting Jack. So verbally just tarnishing the man, and Jack just wasn't phased at all. So, of course, great terrorist performance. We have this whole thing builds to kind of a very Toy Story-esque moment of you are very troubled and confused. It's very much like it's the Samurai Jack equivalent to you're a sad, strange little man.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally,
Kind of
totally.
the equivalent of that.
He does have a pity.
Oh yeah, and that's the fun of Future Jack. Future Jack is he knows he can get out of this mess when they get eaten by the giant monster. He knows that he's been in this situation before. I can't remember exactly if he was eaten or not, but I could buy them. He's probably been eaten at some point. And he's paired with a person who absolutely hates him, or at least is under she's been raised with the idea that she hates him and doesn't believe in him in the slightest. It's an excellent pairing.
Dragon, I'm gonna do a comparison to Ashi that's gonna blow your freaking mind, all right?
Yes.
Okay, Ashi is R-rated Peridot.
Oh my God! Yes. Yeah.
Right? Because she's totally misguided. When she shows up, all she is she just like wants to kill the crystal clods. I will destroy you, crystal clods.
Oh my God! Yeah, you hit. I'm impressed. Yes, you got it. Kudos, man. I'm very I'm proud of you, Tiki.
Oh, geez. So you see, sometimes I can impress this man.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gets the thumbs up from Poppy. So.
Oh God.
Anyway, so it's also kind of great and symbolic with the episodes that Jack's journey for light, quite literally, Jack's journey for literal light brings it out in Ashi, just like she glimpsed in episode 1 when she kind of glimpsed on the outside of the cave. She saw the beauty of quote unquote Aku's world.
Of course.
So again, I love how we're tying these things together really well.
Just think about for like majority of her life, all that she could see from the outside world was just a small crack in her cave or wherever she was raised in.
Yeah,
That's all she could see of the outside world. Now that she's actually out in the world, she has no idea what it's like, and she was telling Aku created this, like no other input whatsoever.
just something that both of them have in common is we see in the episode they both are awakened by kind of glimpses of a nightmare that drives them. Like Jack, he has a vision of Aku with kind of the Daughters of Aku mask that basically was an Aku in the style of the mask they were all wearing, with kind of a head shaped the same way, and that was kind of stirred him awake. And
Ashi has the nightmare of the high priestess's face talking in a nightmare's face.
Exactly.
Which is really interesting because it kind of, I feel like this episode does a great job of mirroring Jack and Ashi and kind of the struggles they've been through.
Exactly.
They both been through a hypothetical hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And what's also very interesting, the last couple of things I got up on Ashi, I guess, I love how Ashi kind of represents, what Jack was at the start of, in general, bear in mind it's for different reasons, but I mean, he's representative of what Jack kind of is, like, kind of on a stereotypical level, that, he's at the start of our story, he's very focused and repetitive. If you really want to super criticize Samurai Jack as a concept, it's okay, very straightforward, kind of our Western kind of hero, just kind of going down the town. He's always focused, I have to find Aku. And he's very repetitive about that fact. And I love how Jack points that out in hers. And basically, this is a great example. Of course, the beard comes in handy for this too. He's he's kind of he's the older, wizened samurai who's kind of recognizing himself in this girl here.
He's the episode 8 Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like even Aku's pointed out there the routine of the previous episodes before.
Sure.
And
I love it because it is really just, it's a great play on, like, the hero's journey. Like, I have to wonder if someone like George Lucas, who, of course, very much popularized the hero's journey archetype himself, watches Samurai Jack or would get into something like Samurai Jack, because say what you will about Lucas as a filmmaker, but the man is a damn good storyteller, obviously.
Funny you say that, Tiki, because I know he's definitely he knows of Genndy Tartakovsky because we've had the Clone Wars series, which of course that was Tartakovsky.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That reminded me. He actually chose Tartakovsky to do the Clone Wars because of Samurai Jack.
Oh, well, there you go.
There we go. That's confirmation for you there. I knew it. I knew he noticed.
It's either him or someone from Lucasfilm that did it, but
exactly. That's basically the only divide we really have. But essentially, Lucasfilm, as in general, noticed them.
Okay, cool.
No Samurai Jack and applied that to Star Wars.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other takes on Ashi?
Of course, she brings out not only the wisdom, but also kind of the humor and openness of Jack. And it's kind of, I would imagine that's like a wise Jack who's kind of, he's trying to, like, the only way you can fight, essentially, I mean, here's a comparison to lay out for you. It's kind of like, I have a Kevin Smith parallel here. It's kind of like how Kevin, it's kind of fun with the beard now I think about it, but you know what I mean? It's like super rich Kevin Smith, but you know, I don't know. It's like when he went up against the Baptist church, you know, basically a bunch of guys with signs are just kind of spewing the same old, like, disparaging.
Dog buzz, dog shit.
Well, sure, without, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the red state sort of thing, where everyone's just kind of going about like very very inflammatory things, and it's like there's nothing you can say to change their minds. You kind of come at them with a very different, lighthearted approach, like let's just say the sign that Kevin Smith held.
It's a very colorful, glitter-filled sign.
Yeah, something that was basically saying something was delicious. But anyway, the point is, it's like Jack's coming at this from a very different perspective, which is kind of taking her off her game a little, and in the end that pays off great. You know, he's not approaching it very serious, like you're insane. You know, you snap out of it. He's playing very humorously, showing no, I'm not all bad. You can see that.
I feel like this moment kind of is a great example of that kind of, you know, that wit that Jack gets.
I think it's honestly Phil Lamar's so good. I might love. I think it is my favorite Jack portrayal. I don't know.
I love the back fur.
Oh, the back fur.
And there's like it's hideous. Hideous from. It's actually quite a compliment coming from you.
Coming from you, yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you're paired up with like the ignorant teenager. You got to win him over. So.
Oh God.
He totally did that to spite her.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like he's like cool dad.
Yeah, I was about to say, Drag. You took the words right out of my mouth. Cool dad.
I mean, he does have more than 50 years on her.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, and then of course we have the acupuncture scene.
Yeah. Like, and then I wish they would have like added an additional scene to that, like so like when she kept ignoring him, it'd be like, I can't move my face.
Oh God!
And so that just would have made the scene a lot of it, because admittedly that's one of my minor complaint about this, that scene kind of just dragged on for a little bit longer than necessary.
I think that was kind of the point, though. It was kind of like some season 2 or 3 Family Guy timing for me. What do you think, Dragon?
Well, I can't really speak to the Family Guy comparison, but I think timing did make the game. I think it was supposed to be drawn. I think it was.
Well, what I'm trying to say with Family Guy is that McFarlane, in the early days, he had a great way of kind of like lengthening out the gags, where it's like at first it'd feel like it's going on so long, but then it goes on. Like, there's a breaking point to where it goes on so long that it becomes funny again. And I feel like this is kind of like, especially like Jack's, the casual conversation they're having. Like,
acupuncture. People pay for this. Acupuncture.
You know, people actually pay for this.
and the creature and inside the creature remains needles, because why not?
Right, and that's just a fun like cartoon thing to do, because, and speaking of fun cartoon things, I feel like this episode has some great visuals in it. This being one example, just the all the creatures, folks. It's like I wish I could have had even more images to show off, but just the creature designs in general are fantastic in this episode.
It's like pink elephants almost.
It's pink elephants. It's also very much reminiscent of Yellow Submarine, I feel like.
It's like pink elephants, Yellow Submarine, and Fantasia all mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was McCracken or Tarkovsky, but we know, like I'm saying, the two of them work together a lot on Powerpuff Girls, but we know one of them's a huge Beatles fan, so I wouldn't imagine that Yellow Submarine wasn't influenced on one of them.
They both might be, but I do know for sure McCracken is.
All right. Okay.
Speaking of which, I just want to will this into the universe. We should totally do a Yellow Submarine commentary at some point.
Of course, Yellow Submarine does influence the Joker in Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, it does. And him.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Lovey-dovey.
Oh, Pepperland is going to turn bluish. All right.
Okay, let's see. Can you get back to the acupuncture thing for 1 second? I just want to mention a really quick thing. So it's kind of funny just because we have a really good shot of her face right here. It's kind of funny. As much as I do bring up Dark Knight Returns on this season of Samurai Jack, she has a very Frank Miller design.
I can see that, yeah.
Let's start. I'm saying, like, when Wolverine went to Japan in the Tokyo story for the Wolverine Wolverine series he did. He drew a lot of characters that looked like Ashi. Basically, they're kind of like these kind of ninja samurai kind of.
It's like a simplified Frank Miller, you're saying.
Sure.
In a way, it's basically it's kind of a more consistent Frank Miller because his style always kind of shifts from panel to panel. So here's like kind of a an animated kind of. It looks identical to like kind of a Frank Miller design. It looks really cool though. That's what I'm saying. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Speaking of looks and designs and stuff, let's talk about the visuals.
Yeah.
The action and stuff. So, oh boy, this is kind of a great blend of humor and visuals too. Because it's all guys.
A couple.
When she tried to tag, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
A couple things here that I love. I think this is a great kind of like another great sort of one frame to sum up the episode. It's got the blue blood, which you gotta love because that calls back to like the cartoon tropes of like getting around the blood.
Yep, the robot oil, of course, and different.
Right. Show blood as long as it's not red.
B, I love how we continue the motif throughout the season.
Building the sword.
Yeah, having Jack not having a sword, but getting like some sort of bladed weapon during the episode. It's just it's so cool.
I love the curvature that looks exactly like a sword at the top. And
right.
It's a cool idea, like these steel crab things.
And that's about it. It's just like it's just an awesome set piece. But yeah, go ahead.
This third humorous device here, I love that he has like Ashi like kind of chained to him like a toddler.
Oh God.
Through the whole thing, just like kind of strings her up and puts her on his back like a toddler.
Like one of the most frustrating
sabotaging him throughout the entire thing.
One of the most frustrating things Ashi does is like towards the end of the episode when they're climbing up that cliff, and Ashi just like like swings herself and Jack off the cliff. I'm like, come on, man.
Like it's almost like a whole. If I'm taking you, if I go down, I'm taking you with me.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like,
but then Jack's like, you see the look on Jack's face, like he's like, I've had enough of you all, enough of your shit, lady.
It's so funny that what motivates this shot here. I love what motivated this shot because in the thing, she's like bonking him on the back of the head with her like kind of reverse headbutting him.
Right.
And basically, after she did that, just basically Jack's just trying to save her life too with this thing. And basically, as she did that, they just turned with frustration and yelled as he attacked these things. Ah! And then like he turns around in the fight, and then like she gets knocked. He's like, "Hello."
She basically knocked herself unconscious.
It's just funny. Oh god, it's such a this image. It's awesome. It's cool. It speaks volumes. That's a great shot. But overall, I do agree with
what you guys say though. That this image basically sums up the entire episode, except for the whole murder of Crows thing, of course.
Yeah. Let's see. So
we have to talk about this really quick.
Oh boy, yeah. Okay, let's see. So again, the visuals are the great thing about this location. It's so kind of psychedelic on the inside, yet it's like the belly of a beast. I don't know how we all these psychedelic imagery, but it looks really cool. Kind of like bioluminescence and blacklight areas, I guess.
It would make a perfect like Fantasyland style dark ride, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Samurai Zone of the ride.
Oh God.
So let me get your opinion on this guy. So again, we have this little puffy, cute little kind of smiley thing.
He kind of reminds me of Nave from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Kind of, yeah.
Hey, listen.
You mean Navi?
Yeah, Navi. Yeah.
Kind of like this little cute little puffy thing. I want to say also voiced by Tara Strong. I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah,
but
it's Tara Strong.
Okay, and now I have a theory. I theorize because the way we usually see this is that it's a little puffy thing, then it's Jack's id, and then it's the little puffy thing again. Part of me is thinking that the little puffy thing is a manifestation of Jack's psyche with all these little puffy things floating there. He manifested that, and that's the friendly version of the id before he needs to be set straight by the other id.
Yeah, I could definitely see
basically that little puffy thing transforms into this guy is kind of what I'm saying.
Like the whole idea of like the shapeshifter kind of taking on the less intimidating form.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can't really substantiate. I'm saying the way it's cut, but then again, we see it again, so that's why it's a little up in the air. I can't say that with absolute certainty, you know.
Sure.
But here's what I'm fascinated by, guys. I'm loving this season. I love how we keep the different ways we keep seeing the id, because here the id, and I think this is very reflective of Jack's arc. I'm really looking forward to see if this pays off or not. Then the id, this is episode 4 by this point. The id is more like Jack, but this is looking more and more like Jack. In this case, it's Jack, but he's cynical and he's off color because of the black light effect.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
again,
he's-
showing that,
And for once, he's not like pretty much giving him like crazy suicidal thoughts.
yeah, he's just kind of playing it
Right,
straight.
right.
He's just kind of, Jack's kind of weighing a moral dilemma, and this guy's just kind of basically the argument here is the logical path of acceptance. Like, hey, you went through your arc. We're moving forward here. Why you? Let's just, again, in a way, let's just move forward with our story here. And why are you helping? Why are you going out of your way to help this person who's trying to kill you? He's questioning the logic of this. He's not really saying like, hey, you're stupid or anything. He's just saying,
It's
you're a fool.
It's basically Jack trying to convince himself what he's doing is right.
Yeah, and then we hear from our kind of our scruffier Jack. You know, he has kind of the hero compulsion and responsibility for her. And he's trying to explain that to himself. But, you know,
And then I love
basically-
when Ashi is just like seeing him like talking to himself. That's a great. That's definitely like a Bates Motel-esque moment right there, Dragon.
She's like, and she looks at him like, who is he talking to?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mix of Bates Motel and like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
And, like,
And then we have such a normal Bates moment when the id here, just as in the shot we had before us here, just looks forward as Jake's just like, I can't. Why am I talking to this guy? And he just looks up, and says, "Oh, she's gone."
You know she's gone, right, Norman? You idiot.
it's kind of strange that his id would kind of notice that. It's like it's a manifestation of his own mind telling him that she's gone.
To be fair, it's probably Jack's like kind of highly attuned senses in hearing, just kind of detecting. Okay, wait, chains moved. She's gone. Where is she?
I figured that. I mean, it's just like
Yeah, sure.
It's just from a I'm just looking at it from a literal standpoint. It's like a physical manifestation of itself that doesn't actually exist tells him that she's gone.
There was a really smart choice in this scene, by the way, where Jackie then picks up like kind of thing. He turns into a mace. It's like, I love you can take everything, turn to like these sharply pointed weapons that seem like they'd be like set dressings, but they're.
What I love about that though is that like we don't actually see him cleave the alien's head. This creature said he just climbs up. He hear a and then it falls down.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the id says, you're going to save her, aren't you? We don't even need to see it because again, that's representative of what Jack's doing. We know Jack's going to get out. We don't have doubt for a second that he's going to get out of this thing. And again, it's him showing Ashi that. That's what we're wondering if is Ashi going to be sold on him or not.
All right, so we get the thrilling climax where they get out via the blowhole, and then we get this, which is, oh my god, guys, tell me this isn't just such an artfully done, like, Pixar-esque ending.
Oh god, it was so moving. I tell you,
so good, so good.
And I love that we hear the dialogue from our great Lyle's High Priestess over the scene, just to kind of reaffirm what she's thinking. You connect the ladybug thing to as it lands in Jack's thing. It's such a defining moment because again, as the little Ashi's following the ladybug, and then the ladybug lands in the priestess's hands, you just kind of there's no room for these little distractions. It's just and basically it represents like kind of a bloody insect gut thing, like dead.
No room for Naku's order.
Guys,
Exactly.
is it funny that like crushing a ladybug might be the most graphic thing we see in this episode besides the dead daughter of Aku at the start?
Well, again, the weird thing is that technically that's Ashi, and they never. Here's the only gripe I have with this episode. It's very, very minor. It doesn't bug me at all. But I'm sorry. It doesn't take away from the episode at all. Is that Jack gets hurt and so does she? Yet they don't really have a limp or any aftermath of that like we did in the end of episode 3.
That's true.
Because she scrapes Jack with like her little chained scythe-like weapon, and she at the fall that's. Initially, I thought it was okay. It's the other dead daughter of Aku and his brother, because again, I think that's what they're hinting at. But again, it's either Ashi or someone who looks identical to Ashi. That's the question, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is that actually?
And let's not forget that in this episode, she kind of does like scythe his back in the monster, which prompts him to go, "Are you kidding me?" And then like nothing happens to him.
That's what I'm saying.
That's like earlier in this season that would have like severely wounded him. Now it's just like he just brushes it off. Like either that's like a smart artistic choice, like a fridge brilliance kind of thing. Like
I would say it's just kind of like some plot armor. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like
we need it for the sake of the character development, and I think these two are going to have a good dynamic going forward.
So basically, it only hurts him when the plot demands it.
I mean, pretty much.
Look, they were super realistic when he got stabbed in the thing. Okay, it's like a flesh wound where people, it's like movies where people get shot and they're like, okay, they get shot, missed an artery, it's fine.
Right.
I get, again, it's like the closest thing I have to a gripe with this wonderful episode. So then of course,
The best part though is when she actually drops her weapon.
Yes,
Yeah.
again, the power of that, because she's been chained up by that thing. I love that her weapon was the thing that was kind of keeping her at Jack's disposal. And the minute she freed herself, that she had the option. She
If you notice the chain is actually gone from her weapon too.
Yes, she's no longer chained to Aku. That's kind of or chained to Jack or to Aku. She's her own person right now.
Now that's what I like to call symbolism.
Yes, and again, it's a really it's
It's
really nice because they're stranded on that island together, and again, like she had the perfect opportunity to kill him. He's not even putting up a fight because I think he knows. I like to think on some level Jack kind of knows it's in her hands right now. That not literally the weapons in her hands, but basically it's I'm not going to put up a fight if she believes me or not. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
all thanks to a random ladybug memory.
And again, just the image of like that label landing in Jackson and letting it go, and then actually dropping the one. Very powerful ending, very strong ending.
All right. Final thoughts, guys?
It was like the beginning was dramatic, the middle was comedic, and the ending was heartfelt.
Yes, as a winning combination, I think.
Roller coaster of an episode.
Yes. So let's see. So you sure you want to go final thoughts? Then the rest, I guess, or
Yeah. Do you want to do spec then final thoughts? I guess.
yeah. Okay, real quick.
Okay.
The promo is.
Oh, the promo. Oh man.
I haven't actually seen the promo yet, so run them by me.
Okay, so
Aku's back.
yes, Aku's back, and he seems he's going to be taking a big step in the episode.
And he's taking action. He's kicking some ass.
Woo!
So Aku, we see Aku's lair. Like Aku is this giant structure that looks like himself.
Oh
of
my
course,
God.
that's Aku. His giant structure looks like himself that's being attacked by the Scotsman's army.
Aw.
And Aku sees this, basically sees this as a wave because Aku just being like being informed that hey Aku, someone's attacking the thing. He says maybe this will get me out. I can't remember what he says.
Out of my state of like my malign state or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like malign. I can't hear what like his
Uh-huh.
description of like my state of like basically of being kind of. Basically, kind of this monotony of victories, and basically a way of like getting him out of his midlife crisis. Maybe this will be exciting, essentially. And then the last shot, we do get that glimpse that we saw in that one trailer of the Scotsman with his machine gun leg going off, and and so that's the promos.
Wait! Don't forget about Aku turning into like that giant like bowling ball of destruction.
Turns into wiping out the army.
Oh my God!
Huge giant. Like basically, imagine the boulder from Temple.
Yeah.
Razor Lost Ark, but it's like a giant, bigger version, but it's made of Aku.
Oh, it's so awesome. All right, Jacob. I hope that did the description. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of like being in elementary school. Like, hey, did you see the Samurai Jack preview? No, tell me about it. Oh, okay. Well, there was the Scotsman and the giant Aku and the funny quote. All right. Anyways.
All right, so speculation.
I don't really have much. I definitely think that Ashi and Jack are going to have an arc throughout the rest of the series.
I think maybe Ashi like she'll learn more about the world, but still like since it's like so ingrained into her memory that since like basically it's been like trained since birth, it's going to be like very jarring and hard for her to change that mindset. Even though from the looks of things and the way she dropped the sight, or whatever you want to call this weapon, she's like beginning to realize that maybe I was wrong my entire life.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a hard transition for her, but I think the series has done a good job of kind of like the first 4 episodes building up this dynamic, and especially here.
Right now, the question is like, who will have the biggest change in this series? Like Jack, Ashi, or even Aku? Who knows?
Aku could definitely have a big turnaround. I mean,
Aku takes up a hobby.
Yeah, I mean, his personality is already like radically different than it was before. So,
for all we know, the High Priestess could become the main evil force.
Yeah, that's true.
So, in terms of speculation, of course, I think the Scotsman is going to seek Jack's help. After the army gets wiped out.
I'll definitely have to rewatch the original Scotsman episode. I did see it once, but yeah, I need to go back.
Several episodes.
The Scotsman, to my knowledge, has 3 episodes, and one of them's a 2-parter. It's basically
okay.
He meets the Scotsman. The other one, his wife. They rescue his wife, which is hilarious.
Basically, you can Basically, you can be assured that any episode that features the Scotsman is going to be hilarious.
The wife one just still cracks me up. It's like an adventure of like, oh, my old friend Jack, and basically, and the wife is like, it's like she hates the fact it's like a buddy movie.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that one too. Yeah.
Although knowing how this season is, it's not a guarantee that it's going to be hilarious as it always was.
Sure.
This episode was funny, and they're probably going to follow it by a more dramatic one. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, so of course, I figure Scotsman's going to be seeking Jake's help after the army goes down. I think they actually think it's going to go one of two ways. I think, however, I do think if there's going to be temporary, like taking her to the end of the series or what, but I think Ashley's going to split from Jack, but be conflicted. I don't think she's going to be like, because I don't think she's instantly going to be fighting alongside Jack. I think she's going to split.
Oh, I don't think so either, but I definitely think
she'll find her own path.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like her and Jack have to like interact and go on these spiritual bonding quests.
I'm saying I don't necessarily think she's going to be meeting the Scotsman next episode. You know?
Of course, right. But I do think there's going to be a thorough line with her story and Jack's story.
Well, of course.
And I do think they're definitely going to like interact off of each other again, and
more like that would admittedly get old pretty quickly. I mean, it was good for this episode, but
of course.
The rest of the 6 episodes built around that probably would get old. Is it probably more like a parallel journey between them?
Yeah. I think you guys are right.
I think what they could do is that as Jack's getting closer to Aku, Ashi's going to take down the High Priestess.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he gets
or maybe she'll go up against her and she could die. Honestly, Ashi could die going up against the High
Priestess. I could see Ashi dying. I could definitely see that happening, and Jack blaming himself for it in some way.
Maybe.
It's almost like the closer Jack gets to Aku, the further away she gets.
Right.
Well, okay. Here's my last big thing I got for this. Okay. Well, I guess last 2 things. Okay. So I think this next episode, the whole Scotsman thing, if Jack reuniting with the Scotsman, or at least the Scotsman seeking Jack's help, whichever. I think that story is going to lead Jack obviously very close to Aku if he's going to be in proximity to Aku. And of course, what we could homage is we keep again Dark Never Turns in this, where basically we do a classic Samurai Jack story each episode. The next one could be the classic, okay, well now we're getting back into the swing of things where okay, Jack's so close to getting Aku and then Aku escapes.
Right.
That could be the next one. And importantly, the big season 5 twist on that would be, okay, we do that classic setup, but at the end Jack being there reinvigorates Aku. Like the two of them catching a glimpse of each other before they escape. Like Aku saying, "Oh, I've never had to escape since the samurai's been. He's back. He's gotten close." It's like that reinvigorates.
No. It could be like a good like Joker thing where
that's what I'm saying. The joke they could do the Joker bit from Dark Knight Returns, but with Aku, it's like the Batman, darling.
Samurai Jack, darling.
Oh God.
Yeah, they're fueling each other's fire.
And what if he realizes he doesn't have his sword?
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, that could be the other. Like he realized it, and that could be that's where he's getting the darling smile from.
He doesn't have his sword.
Like he sees Jack and initially he's scared, then he realizes there's no sword, and then he gets there to where he's like, I'm back. So last really small thing. This is kind of more of a closing thing. What I've been hinting at with the id. I think as the id gets more and more like Jack, basically the point where the two of them intersect, where the id's going to disappear because Jack has become the id. He has become what he looks like his old self again.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So I think it basically we're going to see less and less
of the beard.
Yeah, like eventually he'll. Again, that'll be kind of a retcon from what we saw in that one thing. But again, they don't have to necessarily follow that, so we'll see how it goes. But I think that'd be the cool idea if like he gets closer and closer to matching up with the id.
In the Q again, Tartakovsky did say we'd probably see the Guardian again.
I know that's the thing. We're going to see the Guardian, but then again, the whole that was like kind of our. I don't think they're necessarily going to solve the Guardian's way. I think Aku's going to screw that thing up, and then we'll see a different thing. I don't know. Again, it's up in the air.
That could be the final time portal that Jack needs.
Absolutely, again, but then again, that could be like kind of our dangling. Hey, you're so close. Maybe that's the portal. Like, oh, you're so close, and then Aku destroys it, and then it's going to be up to. We don't know. We'll see. We'll see as the next episode goes.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great ride.
Final thoughts. We didn't summarize.
Oh God. Okay. These are going too long. But final thoughts. Just really quick, folks. This is I thought this was a great episode. Definitely very humorous. A good mix of comedy, character development. Some dark ideas, but overall the most family friendly episode of season 5 so far, which isn't a bad thing. I liked it a lot.
I love it when heroes save our villains. Even better when they can redeem or enlighten them. So this episode really hit home with what I really love. It's some really good storytelling. Again, it's really funny, really fun. At the same time, again, really dramatic in places. Really good character progression on both characters. It's kind of doing this great parallel between them. I was very happy with this episode.
I can't really add much to what you guys say. All my sentiments are pretty much exactly what you guys are. I probably place this as so far my second favorite episode after the second episode, actually.
Cool. All right, folks. So, yes, we will be in due time covering stuff like Milo Murphy and Tangled the Animated Series. But until then, stay tuned for next week until Adult Swim, unless Adult Swim decides to play another practical joke on us. God willing, that isn't the case. We talk about even more
Samurai Jack. Watch it.
He's got to get back.
Back to the past.
Samurai Jack. Morty, I gotta get the Milan Szechuan sauce, Morty. That's my 9-season quest, Morty. The Milan Szechuan sauce.